All right, we're officially recording. Okay, so we just finished first class, welcoming and belonging, and so you'll notice that our classes are kind of sequenced in a certain way. What I'm gonna do right now is just to kind of show you what you are hopefully looking at your end in the student portal, which is the syllabus. We had questions about pre-work versus homework. We do not do homework here. Pre-work, that means it needs to be done before class starts. The one thing that gets done after the class are like the class evaluations, right? Remember that, for example, for right now, for concepts of hope, recovery, and wellness, all the additional handouts that you need is that upside down I, and it gives you all the handouts that are associated with this class as well. Okay, so just want to remind everyone, how does that sound so far? Good with all of that? Okay. Cool. Thank you, Brian, for the thumbs up and not the middle finger. Just kidding. I'm just making sure you're awake. Thank you, Cynthia. I know some of you talk about no cursing, and I started laughing because Guy Quintano, who's our executive director, Project Return, he'll teach a couple classes, and he's honest. He likes to curse, and so just prepare yourself. We have a range of presenters. So here we go. Let me get started. All right. Now, Helen left you off with this idea of a question to think about what you bring to CAPS, right? And we're actually, I got really excited because we're actually going to touch on that momentarily when it comes to this next class, which is concepts of hope, recovery, and wellness. And the idea here, the coffee is intentional. Coffee keeps me going. Um, it gives me hope, it lets me recover, and helps me feel well. But that's just my little inside joke. I know there are a lot of other coffee and tea drinkers as well as energy drinkers out there as well. So for today's class, I'm gonna introduce a video that's called The Miniature Earth. Has anyone ever seen it, by the way, out of curiosity? Most people haven't. Um, there's a context for it, and it's just kind of to get us to think a little bit. And then we're gonna connect welcoming and belonging with concepts of hope, recovery, and wellness. This idea of what is your why, right? Like, why are you here? What do you bring to CAPS? Right? It's the beauty of CAPS Academy is that we have someone talked about the Brady Bunch family. We have this very diverse Brady Bunch family from all over the state with a range of lived experiences, and yet we are all here in the same space, right? So there's something beautiful about that. And then we're going to get into some of these basic but actually fundamental concepts of hope, recovery, wellness, and then kind of how we do things here in terms of the CAPS way. Okay. So this idea that recovery in itself, and some of you have already actually expressed it, right, is a journey, right? And so something that happens organically, and that the reason why we embed so much time into like breakout rooms is to give you an opportunity to really think about these concepts, but also dialogue about them, right? So these are our main three concepts that we're going to get through first. Uh, but before we do that, let's get into the miniature Earth. So give me 1 second. Let me set this up. And I'll give you a heads up that there is no like verbal audio for the miniature Earth. It's just like a background sound, like a humming. So if you don't necessarily hear it loud, it's okay. What's more important is kind of the information that is being presented. And then once we watch it, then we'll have an opportunity to definitely discuss it as well. For some reason you can't hear or you can't see, please let me know and then take it from there. All right, here we go. How's it there? In the chat, I'm going to ask everyone to respond to the following focus question. I'm going to say it out loud. Is as I'm typing it, what is, and someone, thanks, Nadine. What is your takeaway? What are you thinking about as you watch the miniature Earth? And if you're inclined to also unmute yourself, that works as well. But we're going to be using the chat a lot as well, just to kind of get as many responses. Thank you, Christine. We talked about gratitude. Ingrid, go ahead. Please let us know where you're at.
Yeah, it made me think back how I sit and I was like, you know, why am I not at this situation at this time? Why can't
Mm,
I do this? And then you stop and think. And then you read what I just read, and you stop and think like, wow, you know what? Yeah, step back and look at your situation. You're blessed. For me, it's you're
mm,
blessed. And thank God for what you have. And stop complaining. Whatever situation, where it's mentally, physically, emotionally, sometimes well, I'm gonna say spiritually, mind, body, soul, whatever it is. Just stop after reading that and yeah, you're good.
Good. Thank you for that, Ingrid. Before I get to you, Steve, there's Penny put gratitude. Cynthia put feeling grateful for what I have and how entitled I am. Chandra, eye-opening. Heather talked. I just lost it too. Oh, a lot of people have it worse than I do. I need to be grateful. There's gratitude, blessed. People have it worse than us. People have it better than us. Feeling gratitude and thankful from the small and the big. Self-awareness, self-gratitude, humility, being humble in a world that's so bigger than us, and so on and so forth. All right, Steve, what do you got?
Really just makes me reflect on how actually blessed we are. Also makes me realize that we're kind of being born in the right time uh in history as well. And that yeah, a lot I looked at a lot of those percentages and realized that I'm on the good side. I don't want to say good side, the other side of a lot of that. So a lot of factors that were shown in percentages where people were dealing with poverty, hunger, and stuff like that. I'm on the other side, and I don't know how to do the exact math, but I'm like we kind of like maybe the 10%, I guess, of the entire world that kind of have somewhere to live and something to eat as well. So yeah,
Thank you
set
for that.
everything into perspective. Yeah.
But appreciate that, Steve. Yeah, thinking about ourselves about being on the other side, as you said. Christine, what do
Yeah.
you have? And then we'll go Aaron, Monica, Richard, and Zarian will wrap it
So
up.
yeah, it's crazy. It just makes me realize that I got clean living in my car, and so at that time I was given the first 30 days responsibility of having to write a gratitude list of things that I'm grateful for, and I had started running out of things, because I didn't have a positive index. But even then, being grateful for just having the car to sleep in instead of versus the sidewalk, even though it's illegal to sleep in your car, but you can sleep on the sidewalk in our cities. And a roll of toilet paper, just having certain little things, the opportunity to take a shower when I can. Um, um, Even then, when I think about it now, like how much richer I was even then, at that moment in my life compared to now. Yeah, it's like that.
Appreciate your honesty, Christine, and also showing what we're calling self-disclosure, right? Sharing parts of your journey along the way that we can connect. Thank you for that. Aaron, then Monica.
Hi, yeah. So there is a lot for me. One is it's really hard to get sad about things. And I think that for me, especially in the work that I do, I look for harm reduction. And so I say this to people all the time, right? Like people might come in here and be having to leave here still unhoused. And if I can like meet them with something, whether it's a sleeping bag or like something to reduce their harm, of that situation, and that's what I try to do. Not be like, not I mean, in like in this area, be sad and don't be jaded by it, and don't always hear somebody's story and be like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. But it reminded me when I was like one of the early times I had attempted recovery, somebody, a sponsor at the time, said, let's go to a meeting in Haight Ashbury, right? So in the poorer part of San Francisco. And the idea was that we have to take advantage of the opportunities and the gift that we're given. Recovery is one of them, because there might be some people out in the world that will never get to have that life, that will never get to be able to try to do better or have a redo or that kind of thing. And so just kind of take advantage of the fact that I have been given that.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Aaron. Monica.
For myself, it was sad seeing that, and still to this day, even when I go down Skid Row, because I sometimes feed the homeless, and just to be a part of all that and to see all that, it's saddening to me, and it kind of reminds me like I could have been there, but it's just sad seeing all that, and it's a reminder of how grateful I am for the little things that I do have, even when I was incarcerated, I always thought and I heard we could always have it worse, because there's people in Mexico, there's people in other prisons that don't have the privilege that we have here in in the United States, So it's just like just a reminder of how grateful I am. Yes.
Appreciate that, Monica. All right, Richard.
I would say the same thing. Just being grateful and just always remind myself of where I came from. And there was a point where I was homeless and didn't know where I was going to go. And just so grateful for the recovery process of Fred Brown also give me a place to live and get my feet back on the ground and just not forget.
Yeah. Thank you,
it was
Richard,
so
for those
close to
resources.
being homeless.
Definitely. Sarion, what about you?
Me watching the video, I was just like think to myself, like just being more appreciative, because there's a lot of people that don't got what I got, and I'll be too focused on what I think I need and not what I actually already have. So it just made me think more like I need to be more appreciative of what I have right now and not all the needs I think I need, really.
Sarion. And then Brian and Victor, we're gonna, if you can, I saw some of you put your information in the chat for the sake of time. If you could do so as well. It's really interesting to have, well, first of all, thank you for going along this journey. One of the things that we don't explicitly state, but we'll get into, is that we're going to get into these very challenging topics, right? About reality, life, death, and everything in between. And I have a firm belief that nobody wins when we're competing with suffering, right? We're like, oh, I have it worse. No, I have it worse. And, there is no first place for suffering, right? And I think when we do that, we kind of miss the point. But all of you are reminding of that is, what did we choose to take away from it, right? What did we choose to do differently from what we experienced? And so part of the beauty of CAPS as well is to remind us, kind of like with Helen's class right now, Welcome and Belonging, is right. What gifts do you bring to the table, right? How are you choosing to apply gratitude? And it's really important for us to keep that in mind, because it is a choice, right? It's definitely, we either repeat cycles or we choose to break them. And so part of peer support is really to help other people who have had similar lived experience find their pathway forward. So thank you for that. Okay, we're going to keep it going here. And one of the things that we're going to discuss and get into is kind of, what is your why, right? So Helen had her photos about the people in her life. And this guy, I cannot not smile when I see Billy Martin. Billy Martin is someone that we met in our first cohort. We actually have a CAPS Academy cohort in Chino at the California Institution for Men. It's part of CDCR. And he's one of our first graduates. He's also now working full-time for Project Return. And to see him experience life, the only way that I could explain it after he was released, and it was, once again, a surprise, but a beautiful surprise. And he came to us and we started working with him, helping him out with resumes and jobs, but also taking the exam and all of that, is this kind of rebirth that happens, right? But the beauty of Billy Martin has nothing to do with what I did with him, at least I'll say, but the work that he had put in for X amount of years before we even met, before Carrie wrote him a letter, for the board, before we actually, were able to have him join our team. And so I say that because part of this idea here in this work comes down to the why, right? And I think for me, when I think about Billy Martin, he's my why. I see someone who went through his own journey and decided to turn his life around and is now really trying to live the best life that he has, right? And so that is something that is, I find beautiful. And for those of you that have met Billy Martin, at Project Return know what's going on, right? So in a moment, I'm going to put you into breakout rooms, and I'm going to ask you to discuss what is your why. But before we do that, I need to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you just to keep it real. And so when it came to A Road to Recovery, can you please be honest of whether or not you read it, whether or not you did not read it, and whether or not you're kind of still reading it? So let's take the next few seconds to do that, because that's going to help guide the discussion. Okay? And if you're still working through it, please, please, please do. I guarantee you will not regret it. I'm sure Helen will echo the students that benefit the most have been able to really start off with this and then use it, because we keep coming back to it throughout training. All right. Take a few more seconds. All right. Yeah, thank you, Christine. Yeah, it is really, really good as well. Definitely. Okay. Give them a few more seconds and then we're going to get started. Excellent. Okay. Actually, let's do. Okay. Hey. All right. So this is what I have so far from those that responded, just so we can see. Okay, so here you go. So you have about a 50-50 of those who did and did somewhat, and then a few who still need to catch up. So it happens. Now, one of the things that I want to do next, when you go into your breakout room, part of your why, right? To think about why you're here, though, I would also love for those of you that read it or started reading it to see how you can connect it to A Road to Recovery. There's a lot of basic principles in there, right? And so we're going to start talking about that. So then when we come back, we'll share a little bit about kind of what your why is, very briefly, and then also kind of how that connects to A Road to Recovery. And so I'm going to partner you up so you can have a quality conversation, and you're going to have 8 minutes. And so go get in there. What's your why? How does this connect to A Road to Recovery? And then when we come back, we'll pick it back up. Okay. How does that sound? Make sense? No? All right. So your why, right? The connection here. And only once again, this is very personal. And actually, by the way, something I should note is that every instructor is different. So I like to be a Moscow fly on the wall. If you see me going into the breakout rooms, it's just to kind of get a sense of how the conversations are going, and just to even hearing some of the powerful self-disclosure and shares was amazing as well. Is anyone willing to share? Let's start with Trent. Go ahead, and then we'll go to Jeremy and Richard. So how'd it go?
Okay. I don't know if this is selfish, but my main why is that I like to be at peace and I like to be happy and I like other people to be happy. And I found that I've worked as a peer support, but through my own therapy and through my own recovery, I have found peace in myself, and I can, like Helen was saying, I can hold out hope for other people, and and model recovery, that the recovery is possible. This makes me feel great, Carlos.
It's good to
Makes me
hear.
feel wonderful. I'm up here in that I have bipolar. Um, well, this is kind of negative. Do you want me not to say the negative?
We can post,
Or
just put, yeah, we can just focus on the why.
let's
Yeah,
stop there. Let's stop there. But no, it makes me feel, I mean, I like to be at peace and I like to smile and be happy. I like other people to be happy. If they're feeling depressed, I can show them, hey, I've been through it. Let me hold out hope for you.
Thank you for that. Christine, how about you?
There it is. Hi. My why would to bring hope, empathy, and compassion, the same that's been shown to me. And I absolutely it is definitely the therapeutic value of one person helping another person, and just being able to that's it, just hope, empathy, and compassion. Thanks.
Thank you for those reminders. Yeah. Victor, how about you? You're on mute, my friend.
Second time.
There you go.
No, yes, just to be empathetic, compassionate, also being of service to individuals that share the same experience. I'm very I just want to become the best version of myself and help others handle it in the best way possible.
Well said. Well said. Jeremy, what about you? Thank you for that, Victor.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk with Mercedes, and she shared some really powerful stuff, and she said that her journey is still ongoing as far as the why, as far as myself. My why is my journey. How I'd like to share my honesty with people, my story. And a year ago I was homeless. I was in and out of jail, and throughout the most of my life, and at one point I felt totally hopeless. I'd given up on life, and to be able to come through that, and I'd like to just share that with other people. For those that feel completely hopeless, I understand, I relate, I have that experience, and I've come out the other side so far, and found life again.
Beautifully stated, Jeremy. All right, Monica, what do you got?
Hi. I shared my story with Arturo, and we had a lot of similarities. So we could both why we want to do this is because as kids we never had nobody to teach us the right way, and so it led us to gang banging, drugs, hurting other people because we were hurt inside of what we went through. So now that we are recovered, we are healed, we want to give that back to other people and hopefully to help them out, and they don't go through the same thing we went through, being able to help them and be there for them and guiding them and showing them, that's just like the wonderful thing that we could ever experience, giving back now.
Giving it
Yes.
back. Thank you for that,
Yes.
Monica. For sure. For sure. Brian, what about you?
I was in a group with Courtney, and we both had kind of similar values about how we got to where we are because of God, and just by being obedient to his word, we can carry on and show other people that it is possible to recover from serious setbacks and make a change, and just by me following what my higher power is telling me, I've been able to achieve so much in a short amount of time, and I want to show other people that it is possible because I have evidence that it's possible.
You're the evidence that's possible. Thank you for that. Anthony, what about you? You're still on mute, Anthony. There you
Okay.
go.
Can you hear me now? All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for you guys share. For me, yeah, I was in the group with Christine, but my why is hopefully, becoming by becoming the best version of myself, and therefore helping others become their best version of themselves, and giving others, a sense of hope and faith, and helping them navigate through life, because I too was in a dark spot and in recovery, and at times feeling like, how do I do this, or where do I find the resources? And I mean, the more that I know, and through my experiences, helping others navigate through their challenges and find some kind of a normalcy, and to do with until they could do it on their own, and showing them, by that, and showing them that, they're not alone, and kind of just nurture them until until they could leave the nest and fly away, on their own two wings. And but basically, at the end of the day, just letting them know that they do matter and they are seen, and we're all human beings.
It doesn't matter. Thank you for that, Anthony. Nadine.
Yes, I was with Devin, and the two of us, the timing was just perfect. We both have a lifelong lived experience, both personally and with our loved ones. And we both wanted to learn better. Sorry, dogs barking. Both wanted to gain greater experience and skills on how to go about doing the work so that we can do it in a so that we're not doing it for others, but we're empowering other people. We're not enabling, but we're supporting.
Thank you for that, Nadine. I appreciate it. Matthew, Zarion, and then we'll wrap up with Richard. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, me and Sarah talked, and we had a lot of similarities. Like, we both had lived experiences through trauma, struggle, pain, and loss of, close family members, and realizing that those are gifts from God, journey to keep going and to not only to be a vessel to help others go through the stages of recovery, which is the hope, empowerment, self-responsibility, and meaning of life, like we've experienced, is like a spiritual of, trauma and struggles that now now that we've experienced the recovery process, we can become a beacon of hope and help guide them through that recovery process.
Thank you for that. Well said, Matthew. Zarion, and then Richard. We're up with Richard. Go ahead, Zarion.
I'll say my why is to make the world a better place, make my community a better place. And because I know growing up, if I had the support, I wouldn't went the way I went. So I just know, like, sometimes people just need a little support. Some need more support than others. But if you just try to help somebody, I feel like it just make it better, like make the world better. Like everybody helping each other, because like the world, it's not that good right now. But more people like us, I feel like it could be better. That's my why, to just help my community and my family, and help people that's going through stuff that I went through.
And make it better. Thank you for that, Zarion. All right, Richard, wrap it up. What do you have?
Giving back of just learning about GR and detox and the resources out there that I didn't know about before. It helps me to grow, also to give back, to let someone else know about the resources that are out there. Really just, it helps me, and I feel good about doing it. And it's rewarding. I think, someone's like, oh, what's GR? I'm like, you can get, food stamps. There's so much stuff out there, even like mental help and physical help,
Yep.
That's what I got. Sorry.
Definitely. No, thank you for that. And thank you all for sharing. And, and it's, once again, the beautiful part of CAPS is that CAPS Academy is that we all come from these different pathways and journeys, right? And you all nailed it. I think someone felt guilty about actually feeling good about helping other people. Personally, I think that's actually part of the beauty, right? With peer support, it's mutuality. It goes both ways. And that's why it's so different from any other professional relationship, that it can be, seen as top down. And so we kind of look at it as equals, right? We look at each other from, hey, I've been there in my own way. Let me try to help you find your way as well. Okay. So, all right, we're going to go through some terms here. This is more of a refresher, especially if you completely read A Road to Recovery. And then if you're still reading on it, please do. As you can tell, people are actively stating why it matters so much. So hope is this idea that change is possible, and hope is what it starts with, right? If we do not believe that change is possible, if we do not have hope for someone else, then how are we able to really help them on that journey, right? Ultimately, well, let me ask you, ultimately, who decides how you lead your life? For each of us. Yourself, right? I have yet to find someone who's like, oh my God, I love people telling me what to do all the time, and dictating my life. Monica's like, heck no.
No.
And so
I'm the destiny of my own life.
There you go, right? And so when we have hope, then we also provide that for people, for them to choose their goals, right? Instead of being told, in that sense. But hope is this idea that it is possible, that change is possible. And like, as somebody else, stated recently, is like, and that you matter, right? And that you matter in there. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do next, I'm actually going to put you into, Helen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can you, for this one, can you do breakout rooms of 3 to 4 people, please?
Okay, yes, hold on.
And this
And
is
for
going to
how
be,
long?
let's do 8 minutes. We'll do it. Yeah,
Oh, wait,
it'll
I
be
have to
brief.
do the math. 3 to 4 people would be,
Actually, you know what? Keep them as partners. Let's just keep them as
okay,
partners. Recreate them in your end, and then let's just keep
okay,
5 minutes. We'll do 5 minutes that way. That way we can be
okay.
on time. Thank you. And
Okay.
and so we're talking about hope, and since it starts with hope, what I'm asking you to do next in with your partner is to look at how you define hope specifically, right? And then more importantly, who in your life has held out hope for you, right? How did they show that hope? You know, I will briefly state for you that like I never met my biological father, so I do not know any part in that family. And then my mom's side is really, really small. And the person who has, even though my mother does not understand my journey with depression and how severe it can be, she is someone who has not abandoned me, right? And I feel very grateful because I know there are not everyone has at least one, parent who's stuck around. And so for me, my mother, who came from El Salvador during the late 70s when there was a civil war and over 100,000 people were being killed, nothing in her pockets, came here with no papers, nothing like that, and worked whatever jobs, slept on the floor to send money back to her family, who now is a US citizen and is bilingual in English and has worked as a janitor for almost 45 years at the same hospital. Like I look at someone like that and I'm like, wow, I'm like, how do you do it? Like and so, but the fact that she still has not given up on me, even when she could have, and everyone else in my family has basically bounced, right? She's my example of someone who's held out hope for me, or that even though she may not understand it, I know that she's trying to do the best that she can, right? And so when we're listening to each other's kind of share of what hope means for us, and then who has brought that hope, listening to the story that's being told, right? And then kind of like how that hope has been carried through in there. And then the beautiful part about hope is what's possible in there. So how are we doing? Helen, we're good to go?
Ready to go.
Okay, awesome. So
Okay.
your pair share, your partner up. Once again, how do you define hope and who in your life has held out hope for you? And then we'll come back. Thumbs up, we're good to go? Yep.
All
Awesome.
righty, here you go.
Righty. So please, let's hold on 1 second. Hold on. I'm just waiting for everyone to get back.
Okay, yeah.
Seconds. Okay, sounds good. All right. So hopefully you had I was able to bounce in and listen to some powerful conversations. You're able to share a little bit about that. Okay. We're going to keep this going. And so even though in CAPS, we are very methodical and actually you can say predictable, like we'll do the gathering guidelines every day. You'll have breaks right at the hour. We do like to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to hold on for your comments. I'm actually going to continue with the presentation a little bit because the overall goal is to make sure that we're out of here by 1 p.m. the latest. I don't think anyone wants to be here longer than that. And so we're going to keep this going. Okay. So we have hope. You've shared kind of what it means for you. And then also hopefully someone that has shared hope with you. Right. By the way, these photos that you're seeing, they're not AI generated. They're photos that I took on a trip to Costa Rica a while back. And I was very fortunate. And there's one thing that I mentioned before, I struggle with a lot of different things, my energy, my health, but there is something sometimes when I'm able to capture nature, and nature does heal. And so I'm a firm believer we need more parks, we need more nature. And so these pictures I'm sharing with you because they definitely bring me a joy as well. Okay, so we went from hope, and now we're going to this notion of recovery. Would someone please mind unmuting themselves and reading the definition for recovery on the left-hand side?
Can I?
Go ahead, Brian. Thank you. Go ahead.
Recovery definition: a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Alternate definition: when that thing that used to kick me in the butt doesn't do so much as before. Relationships are developed through mutual respect and reciprocity, including openness to genuine emotional connections.
Thank you so much, Brian. What's interesting is Out of curiosity, does anyone identify as living in recovery? Just out of curiosity, you can straighten your hands if you want
Yeah.
to. If not, all right. And then hear the yes. You know, it's really interesting because the word recovery, I feel, is everywhere, but when it comes to health or addiction, it's seen differently, right? Like for example, right now it's all March Madness, and like you'll hear them talking about they need recovery time to perform their best, right? Or for other professions. And so usually recovery doesn't have this stigma, let's say, right? But then when it comes to our mental, behavioral health and/or recovering from addiction, it changes. But the beautiful thing about recovery is that and that's why I love this image. It goes in different ways that I know I didn't even think it would, right? And sometimes recovery means getting by minute by minute. Other times, it can feel, days can go by and you're feeling well, right? But it definitely is something that we journey with, and that's important. And this quote, the second one, comes from Joe Ruiz, who's our mentor, and talks about basically whatever kicks you in the ass usually isn't kicking you in the ass as hard, right? And it's not as hard. Doesn't mean it goes away. Doesn't mean it doesn't come back. It is definitely an ongoing journey. Zarian, what's up, sir?
I feel like recovery is forever. That's how I feel.
Well said, right? It is a daily journey, definitely. And I would agree with you. It's definitely something that for the rest of my life, I will be on in that sense. Thank you for that. And so we've gone from hope, right? This belief that something is possible, recovery, to the actual journey of making it possible. And then the other part, the ideal. And this took me a while to try to understand that recovery, there's so much focus on recovery, and rightly so. But I kept forgetting that, like, hey, the goal is actually to find elements of wellness, right? And to be well in certain ways, right? And so one of the handouts that was assigned to you is showing the 8 dimensions of wellness, right? Can I have someone else read the information on the left-hand side here, please? You can just unmute yourself.
Wellness definition refers to overall well-being, which has a personal meaning for each person. More than the absence of disease or stress, wellness involves having purpose in life, which refers to active involvement in satisfying work and play, joyful relationships, a healthy body and living environment, and happiness.
Thank you. Gracias, Victor. And Dr. Mark talks about meaningful roles, right? He talks about, yeah, you can have the hope, right? You can have the self-responsibility, right? But if you don't have meaningful roles to apply it, then how are you seeing this actually transpire? And so wellness in ourselves, I mean, we're so used to thinking of just the physicality or the mental health, but it's actually all of these elements that SAMHSA describes, right? It's our emotional well-being. Right now, I know we're all feeling it. Financial well-being with these gas prices, right? Like it affects everything and everyone. So if we're more stressed out, it makes sense. Social, it can be challenging just sometimes to get someone to say hello to you on the street and not think that you're, freaking them out. Some of you mentioned a higher faith in God. So spirituality is also very essential to this part of wellness and well-being. Occupational, hey, why are you here? Why this work versus other type of work that you can do? The physicality, just being connected with your body and how it interacts with how it works, how it functions. Obviously, our mind, our intellectual capacity, challenging our brains to continuously grow and rethink. So, and lastly, and a big one, the environment that we grow up in. Many of you have stated, right? The environment that we live affects everything, right? Whether it's smog pollution, whether it's noise pollution, whether it's light pollution, or just the intensity of it all. So, so far we've gotten to hope, right? We've gotten to the notion of recovery, and we've gotten to wellness, right? Are we good so far? No? Okay, so this is what we're going to do next. Let's take our third break here. And so what we'll do is, go. Before I forget, now that you know the structure, and some of you have been really kind about like, hey, be right back. If you need to like step off for a minute or two, we're not like tallying, right? Just communicate with us, obviously. So as needed, please do not starve yourselves or dehydrate for the sake of training. That would not be helpful at all to any of us. Okay, so I have a few more slides to go through, and then we're going to go through one more breakout room activity, which we're actually going to apply what we've been learning. Okay, so we left off with this notion of wellness, and that it's more than just the body and the mind in today's world. There's multiple dimensions, and so it's something to keep in mind that it affects everything in there, and so that's all connected, kind of an idea. as we continue with this notion of wellness, I wanted to share some pictures. Mamas, I don't have any children. I help to raise my younger siblings, but this little dog is my light of my life. And many people, a lot of the team have met her. And so we've taken her on trips. So she is actually one of the CAPS Academy mascots. And so if you see pictures of her, it's because she brings so much joy to my life. Out of curiosity, did anyone ever see the movie The Soloist with Jamie Foxx? Came out a long time ago, a few years ago. Oh, Helen, thank you. Right. And so I say this because, hope, recovery, and wellness to make these connections with peers comes in very different ways. And what we try to do here at CAPS is give you an abundance of resources for human to human contact. And so, for example, music tends to be a big one, right? Another one is the visual arts, so either shows or movies. And The Soloist, it's we don't have time to watch it, part of it, but it basically discusses the journey of a musician who ends up on the streets of LA and is a beautiful and plays a violin. And then Steve Lopez, who is a writer for the LA Times, tries to work with him in getting the help. And it's a really good understanding of the struggles, right, that people face on so many levels, but also this idea of like when someone does believe in you and brings a hope and is helping and willing to journey with you into that recovery, that wellness is possible, right? That housing is possible, that finding meaningful work is possible. So something for you to think about. Something to also consider are, and some of you've said it, gratitude for the little things, right? So keeping ourselves mindful on what works and what helps is really important. Another beautiful shot of Mother Nature for you there. Okay. All right. You all should know who this guy is. I love this smile. Yeah, there you go, Devin. Dr. Mark Reagans, right? So Road to Recovery. And so the idea here, I love his genuine nature and also someone who, studied to be a doctor, right? Through the medical model, and then realized, hey, there's other ways to reach out people, and to kind of, go beyond that and really meet people where they're at. And so when we're talking about hope and empowerment and self-responsibility and meaningful roles, these are the categories that, according to Dr. Mark and the Village, Helen, by the way, knows of the Village, people that work there, and it's not a mythical place. It actually did exist. And so a lot of the people that work at Project Return now also have experience with the Village. So keep in mind that as we continued our discussion of peer support, the idea of hope, empowerment, hope, empowerment, self-responsibility, and meaningful roles will continue to come up, right? This is something that will even both on the exam and actually in your work in the field as well, okay? Any questions so far? Yeah, looking good. I love that smile. Okay. I also love the moon. All right. May I please have a different volunteer help read out the information on the left-hand side about empowerment? We're going to transition into this idea of empowerment.
Sure.
Right. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Definition: having the sense of one's own capabilities and one's own power. We don't empower people, we create an environment and opportunities for people to develop their own sense of empowerment. Doing with versus doing for. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. Benjamin Franklin. Person's choice, inclusive, strength-based, promotes learning and growth. Breakout room activity, doing with versus doing for key ingredients, handout analysis.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Exactly. So this is you're going to notice certain, once again, things that we repeat. One of the things, the quotes that we repeat, and I know Helen loves quotes, are doing with versus doing for, right? And so this is something that's really, really important. Now, this doesn't always mean 50-50, right? You may start 80-20, 90-10, but there's definitely a shift in that progression depending on where the peer is at and where you are meeting them, okay? So what we're actually going to do next, let me pull up in the student portal, one of the handouts that was provided for you for this class looks like this. It's called Empowerment Exercises, Doing With and Doing For.
CASRA core values.
Yeah, not the CASRA core values. I'm going to project it right now. It's this one right here. So it's called Empowerment Exercise, Doing With versus Doing For. And so in a moment, what we're going to do is we're going to place you out into breakout rooms of teams of 3 to 4. And there are actually 4 real scenarios. And so these are actual mock test questions, right? You're going to have 10 minutes. So it gives you a little 2 minutes per question. There is obviously on the actual exam 120 multiple choice questions in 2.5 hours. So it averages out to about 1.5 minutes or 2 in there. Together, read through it, figure out which is the best answer choice, and then we'll come back and discuss each of the 4 scenarios together to kind of see how everything pairs up. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Yeah, good, Brian. Okay. Any questions about what you're going to do in your breakout rooms? Good to go, Rosemary, Jeremy?
Where do we find this? I'm not seeing it on anywhere.
Okay. So if you go to your student portal, and let me just share my screen one more time. And thank you for asking. So if you go to the student portal, the upside down eye, if you click on that, that's where you'll be able to find all the handouts and it'll pop up. I think I have to log back in. Second.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much.
You got it?
You said click where for the handouts?
The upside down eye. If y'all know what I'm talking about, it's like the exclamation point. That's upside down.
So that's what we're supposed to do right now. Go into our portals and then pull this paperwork up.
So you're gonna go into the portal, pull out this handout. Yes, exactly, Luis.
Okay.
And then once you do so, that's what you're gonna use to answer the questions that you're gonna work on in your teams. So let me just try this one more time now that I refreshed. Okay. So there's an upside down eye or an exclamation point that you would use in Spanish. And this is where empowerment exercise doing with versus doing for. It's the first one. You download that PDF and that's the one you're going to use. Okay. Sound good so far? Right, let me pause the recording here. Recording again. So let's get through all of this and then I'm going to do my best to create some time so before we leave today, we all can look at for tomorrow.
Okay.
How does that
Okay,
sound?
great. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. So this is what we're going to do next. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to ask for volunteers. Helen's going to help. And so this is how it's going to work. I'm going to ask for a volunteer to read the whole scenario and the 4 answer choices. And then I'm going to ask everyone to wait until the person has read all the answer choices. And then I want you to put your answer choice in the chat once they're done. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Can I have a volunteer please read the first one?
Jump in.
Go ahead, Nadine.
A peer member approaches a peer support specialist and asks them for information about a resource for work attire as they have an interview approaching. They also mention that they get nervous about going to new places for services. How should the peer support specialist respond? A, ask the peer member to look up this information online as there are many local resources available. Peer support specialist also reminds the peer member that they can request assistance if needed. B, provide the information for the free clothing site to the peer member and wish them luck in their interview. C, provide the information for the free clothing site to the peer member and offer to accompany them when they go to assist them through the process. And D, tell them you don't have this information on hand because it's not within your scope of practice and refer them to an employment specialist.
Thank you. Gracias, Nadine. Now, may everyone in the chat please put whether you think it's A, B, C, D, or E. Psych, there's no E. I'm just making sure you're still awake. All right, there you go. I have corny jokes. All right, Helen, what do you see in the chat? You can tell me, please.
I see mostly C's and a handful of A's.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Now for this one, remember the goal here in empowerment is doing with, for not necessarily doing for. So for number 1, the correct answer, the best answer choice, is C, provide the information for a free clothing site to the peer member and offer to accompany, doing with, them to go to assist through the process. Okay, so that's number 1 in there. And remember, these questions are comparable to what you'll see on the exam as well. Okay, so thank you, Nadine. For number 1 was C. Number 2, can we have another volunteer please read out the information for number 2?
I will.
Thank you.
A consumer tells a peer support specialist that they have a lot of situational stress that is not a result of their diagnosis. What actions would the peer support specialist take in supporting the consumer? A, tell the consumer her feelings are normal and they should not worry. B, assist the consumer in developing a wellness plan to avoid their concerns. C, advise the consumer of strong anxiety medication option to try. Or D, take the consumer a 12-step meeting to support their overall awareness. Overall awareness.
And did you read number 3, Monica? I just want.
She did.
She
Yes,
did, Nadine?
she did.
Okay. Okay. So I want to make sure she did number 3. Okay. Because I was like, I'm not seeing those words. So we're doing number
Yeah, me
3 right now,
neither.
everybody. Okay. We'll come back to number 2. It's okay, Monica. Don't worry. I just thought I was losing my mind. So for number 3 in the chat now, I'm glad that we're getting a laugh at it. Please put your answer what you think number 3 is. We'll come back to number 2. So what do you think is the best answer choice for number 3? And then Helen, you let me know what you see for number 3, please.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of B's
A lot of B's. Okay, good,
and
good.
2 A's.
2 A's. A lot of B's and the good B's. All right. So for number 3, just to be clear, number 3, the answer is B. So assist the consumer in developing a wellness plan to address their concerns. So that's for number 3. Thank you, Monica, for reading number 3. Can someone else go back and read number 2, please?
Number 2, a consumer would like to support a neighborhood rally, but has anxiety about attending. They believe that anxiety would not be an issue if they are accompanied by their peer support specialist. What action would the peer support specialist take? A, recommend the consumer practice breathing exercises. B, suggest the consumer stay home to avoid overstimulation. C, inform the consumer it is not worth the effort of people's time. I believe it's D, participate in the activity as requested by the consumer, because you're not doing it for them, but you're doing it with them.
All right. Did everyone else, Helen, put it in there? I know Victor's like, it's
Yes.
D.
I'm seeing a lot of D's, but I did see 1A.
Okay.
And can I make a quick point, Carlos?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes on these, like A is not a bad idea, but it's not the best of these choices, right?
That's the key, y'all. Helen said it. In the instructions, it'll say what's the best answer choice, not the only. Okay. And so for number 2, the correct answer is D, right? So it is D, participate in the activity as requested by the consumer, right? And we're going to get into all of these. Thank you for that, Victor. Can someone else please read the last one? Number 4. Yeah, Devin, all yours, please.
A consumer mentions a topic that is unfamiliar to the peer support specialist. A consumer tells the peer support specialist that they feel ready to date, but that they are concerned about having Hep C and does not know how they could possibly meet a partner. How can the peer support specialist best help the consumer to find resources? A, peer support specialist offers to go online with the consumer to research resources together. B, collaborate with the team to discuss any resources available for the consumer. C, tell the consumer they could never date because of their medical condition. D, offer to set the consumer up on a blind date with a friend of the peer support specialist.
Right, if you can all thank you, Devin, for reading and also for the responses. Can everyone else in the chat put what you think it is? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? And then Helen, you let me know what the trend is, please.
Okay, so the trend is A, but there are quite a few B's. The majority is A, but B is a fairly close second.
Yeah, perfect. And so this is a great example, y'all. On the exam, there will be, for most questions, 2 of the answer choices, you're gonna be like, no, y'all tripping. This is bad. Like Devin, like she couldn't even hold it in, right? It's like, no, right? And then there's gonna be a question like this where it's gonna be, it could be A or B, right? And so the best answer choice. Now remember that the idea for this empowerment exercise is doing with. So the reason why it's answer A is because we as a peer support specialist would offer to do research online with the peer and to research these sort of resources together, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot collaborate with the team and ask for all of that, but the first step would be doing with. Does that make sense?
So let's go off of the immediate answer. What would we do immediately if the person's sitting in front of us?
Yeah, exactly. We're meeting the person where they're at, which is another common statement that we have, right? Now, later on, we'll complicate things with it depends. But the one thing I will say for right now with the exam is that, remember, the exam in itself is black and white, right? So, for example, if you see any question on the exam that says a member gives you a gift of X money, it's always going to be you do not accept it. You just don't for CalMesa, right? But, for example, at Project Return, we have a policy where if it's $25 or less, we can accept it. So in the field, there's gray because you're going to really be following your agency's guidelines and their kind of policies as well. So I just want to be clear that the exam is very clear cut and has black and white, basically responses, but the field in itself, it would depend on the situation and individual. Go ahead, Ingrid. What do you got?
Real quick, it's about the exam. So how is the exam conducted? How will we be doing the exam?
Just like this, it'll be 120 multiple choice questions. You'll have 4 answer choices. There are 3 levels of difficulty. So if it's 1 sentence, it's easy. If it's 2 sentences, it's medium. And if it's 3 or more sentences, it's hard, right? And then you have to choose the best answer choice. So this is why we're going through these, right? And so we're already kind of getting you thinking about that, right? And you do have 2.5 hours to keep that in mind, unless you're going to apply for an accommodation because you need extra time.
Will we all be in a group like this, or we'll just be?
Oh, no, it's to be flying solo. You will be going either to a testing center or you'll do it online at your home, depending if you want to do it. Yeah, but it's you and the computer.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, got it. No, thank you.
You got it. You're welcome.
Are
Heather,
we
what's up?
allowed to bring notes to?
Oh, no, Richard, nothing. You can barely bring yourself. So yeah,
Okay.
they don't let you bring anything. I'm going to take one more
Okay,
question
great.
and I'm going to go on because I want to get you out of here in less than 19 minutes. Heather, what do you got?
I just wanted to note, is there like a percentage we have to hit in order to pass? If
Yes,
someone
but it's as secret as the CIA. We don't know.
Are
We
you
have no
serious?
idea. Yeah, like just generally speaking, 70%, 75% is passing, right? But I say that because there's 8 categories and I've seen different ranges, right? What I will say that is if you have like a really, really low score on one of the domains, I'm pretty sure that it will not allow you to kind of pass with the other one. So, but we don't know what that is. We try to prepare you as best as possible for that. It's a good question. All right, y'all. So we got some practice in here. Let me get through a couple more slides and then we're going to start wrapping it up and then getting you ready for mañana, for tomorrow. All right. And thank you so much for those of you that read and for all of you for participating in the chat as well. Okay. So as we're going through this notion of wellness and empowerment, right? Really trying to help people empower themselves, right? This is when it comes down to it, to our peers, personal choice is really important, right? I don't get to dictate how Richard lives his life or what he wants to do with it, or Heather or Ingrid, right? They do. They're the ones that are making that choice. And I support that as their peer support specialist. It's important to be inclusive and not just be like, oh, I know what's best for Heather. Oh, I know what's best for Ingrid or for Nadine. No, like they're a part of that process. And then the key here is to looking at what strengths do they have? What are they good at? What can they actually use already that's in there, especially if they're struggling? Because when I know that when I'm struggling, it's really difficult for me to think what my strengths are. And it helps have someone else be like, hey, you're actually a really good active listener, or so on and so forth. And that this is a process of learning and growing. So we're constantly going to evolve and constantly going to improve. That's a moonshot. All right. Now, this last part here, and this is what gets a little bit more challenging. Responsibility has to come from the self, right? And so, yes, Jeff, exactly. So once someone is on their own path to recovery and towards wellness, they're the ones that start to take responsibility and accountability for their steps. And the idea here is, how can we support our fellow members and peers to be self-responsible, right? And we talked about the doing with, not doing for in that particular process, right? I mentioned Billy Martin. In the beginning, Billy had been at Chino for like decades. And so the technology piece was huge. I couldn't expect him to write his own resume. So I did. He would verbally tell me stuff and I would be typing it, right? As time went on, he started to learn how to use his email and how to start typing his own things. And so there was a slow release, right? Or a warm handoff that we can talk about it. So there's definitely ways that we can accommodate for people to take responsibility for their lives. Okay? And this last part here, there was a beach that I was very fortunate to be at for a few days, and just kind of in the morning, I was there by myself, and it was kind of like a wellness retreat. And I noticed that as I was looking, I didn't really see much. And then, hold on, give me 1 second. And then I noticed that there are, as we go closer and closer, there is this little, I can only think in Spanish, coracal, this little beautiful creature with its home in it that I would have never noticed that if I didn't take the time to pause, right? And to focus on the little things. And you all mentioned it in the miniature earth, that gratitude for the little things definitely matter. Okay. The last thing I want to bring into mind here before we wrap it up for this part is this notion, and this is where Dr. Mark and the village, I think, created a great understanding that, hey, it's great that we're focusing on hope, that we're focusing on one's recovery and wellness, and that they're part of the process. But if people don't have an opportunity to apply this somewhere, how are they really going to feel connected and part of the community, right? And so this is where meaningful roles, and hence why we asked you about your why, like, why are you here, right? Because if there's no meaning for you to be here, it won't work for you in there, right? And so the idea here is that the meaningful roles help us to feel connected. And that's what we've heard from several of you, if not all of you, in different ways, right? I'm here to give back to, because I was not afforded the same resources. If I can help someone else, not struggle as much or find their way, it'll be worth it as well. And so this is why, once again, the Road to Recovery kind of helps set the stage for our work as peer support specialists. Okay. How does that sound so far? Good? Okay, cool. Just making sure you're all good so far. All right. And then at this point, I'm going to pause there. So for concepts, hope, and wellness. And so we talked, let me do the last thing I'm going to do right now is go back into the student portal just to, okay. So for today, and as I'm talking, you could do this, or you can wait until I'm done talking if it helps to not multitask. So you'll notice that for today, right? Monday, 4/6, welcome overview. There was an assignment that was due in the morning. The class evaluation that looks like this, right? This is the one that you can work on and complete right now. They always look the same. So that'll be the first one that's due. The other thing that was due today, first thing in the morning, was a Road to Recovery. And you'll notice that on the bottom here, bottom left, we didn't ask you to upload an essay or a reflection or anything. We just say, okay, once you're done reading with it, press complete. If you're not, then obviously get it done, and then you can obviously press complete. And then the last thing that you'll do today is a second class evaluation for concepts of hope, recovery, and wellness. Okay. Any questions on today's assignment before we go into tomorrow?
So all of those under 4/6 should be done today.
Bingo. Exactly, Mercedes. Yeah. And the class evaluations, the soonest you can do it is as soon as we're done, right? So we just finished concepts of hope, recovery, and wellness. You can go in and knock it out, right? Now,
we don't need to upload our answers for the questions that we went through in class today, but I did it already, so I highlighted it. Okay.
So you're good, Richard. And sometimes we will ask you to upload your responses, right? So there's going to be like a little like rectangle that has like these dashes that you'll know that it'll say to upload the actual file. So we change it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now,
so the welcoming and overview, what I'm supposed to do for that?
For Zarian, for welcoming overview, you had the belonging assignment.
Belonging assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also where you'll find the student handbook. And the student handbook has guidelines and rules and, policies.
Exactly. And this is one that was also read only. And that's why, like, if you notice here, that's why the blue button was completed. I pressed it on accident, I think. And so whenever you're just reading, and if you're not submitting anything, we'll just have you press the blue complete button as well. Okay.
And then
if
we're missing something,
if you're missing something, then definitely contact your student supporter, right? What is it that you need? Because, for example, it's the first day, we all get it. One assignment is one thing. Once it snowballs into 2 assignments, then we need to start a formal process of letting you know. But let either myself know or Helen know at this point right now, since we're both in it. Helen, would you mind putting our emails in the chat while we're talking, actually? Mm-hmm. So even if you haven't been assigned to Helen and I, we got you, right? We don't, distinguish between that.
And will we get like an email stating that we are missing some assignment for that day?
So everything on the student portal will show.
Know?
No.
Sorry.
Oh, so once you miss the second assignment in a row, then yes, we'll have to send you a formal email saying, hey, Richard, by the way, please note that you missed 2 assignments. And then it becomes a formal kind of notification, right, of it. Yeah.
Carlos, I did all of it and I put complete, but completed. I see you have a little check. I'm looking at mine. I don't have no little checks.
Fabiola, it's almost like you read my mind, and I was going to send you a Starbucks gift card, because what I was going to say next, I'm glad I got you to laugh a little bit. The student portal has a little, you know how certain, like, you got to like jiggle the key a little bit. Sometimes you just have to refresh. and then it'll change, Fabiola, and then for all of you, and sometimes you'll have to log out and log back in. So you have to do a little bit, we're sometimes, low nonprofit budget here. So if it doesn't show right away, refresh. And if that doesn't work, log off and log back in, and then it'll show. But thank you for asking that.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to read for the welcome.
Zario, do me a
again.
second. Do me a favor. I'm going to meet with you as soon as I'm done with class specifically to
Okay.
kind of help guide you. All right.
Okay.
For tomorrow, though, Tuesday, the 7th, we have 2 classes. We're going to start off with psych rehab. Now, notice here, is there any pre-work for psych rehab? Anything that you have to do beforehand? Fabiola's like, heck no. Richard's like, fool. All right. So, but for role of advocacy, you do have some pre-work due and a class evaluation. So for tomorrow, the only pre-work that you need to do is for role of advocacy. And you will find that all here. And it'll tell you what you need to do in terms of that. Okay. I want to pause and see if anyone else has any other questions. If you could make sure you complete both of your class evaluations right now before you leave.
Mm.
And then once you're done with those 2, just let myself know or let Helen know, and then you'll be good to go. We did promise to honor your time as best as possible. And then what's cool about CAPS is like, hey, we finished a few minutes early. We're not just going to keep you here hostage, right? As soon as you're done and you're good to go, just
I
let me know.
did it. Unfortunately, I know I was trying to go by the rules, but I was like, let me go ahead and do it. And I did everything early, and then I did it again. So if you see 2 up there, that was me and my crazy self.
Thank you, Ingrid, because the updated one means that you followed the rules, the instructions. So you waited
Yeah.
until after. So yeah.
Okay.
So once you're done, like I see in the chat, like Monica, you're good to go. Have yourself a beautiful day.
Let me know if
Right?
I can
You
go.
guys too. Nice
Yeah,
meeting
Donald.
everybody.
Mason, you're good to go.
I
Yeah,
had a-
Chris. If you have questions,
Right.
go ahead, ask. But those of you that in the chat that you said I'm done, thank you. Feel free to
Oh.
log off and have yourself a
So
beautiful
I have
day.
a question about the rules of advocacy pre-work because it says that there's supposed to be a fill-in letter, but there's not there. So I don't know, it says feel free, use the following speech template. Where's the template? Because I went through the 3 different
Yeah, there's no
attachments.
template.
and there's no template.
Yeah, then you know what? Don't worry about that. If it's not there, I'm gonna make an announcement on the student portal. So if it's not there, then that's not. So let me go back and check that once I'm done with class, and then I'll make sure to make an announcement on the student portal, and you all get that update.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Any other
I
questions?
was concerned about that as well.
Okay. Yeah. If it's not there, if obviously I'll let you know right now. I just want to make sure that I give you the right template if needed, and if not, you won't have to worry about it. Trin, what's up?
I'm very bad with technology,
Okay.
and I do not know how to pull up my other thing while I'm on Zoom. I have no idea.
Okay. So
You
then,
keep
Trin,
saying pull it up and fill it out. I don't know how to pull it up.
so then you can wait, Trin, and
All
then
right. Goodbye, y'all.
when you're off, if you're good, Jeff, thank you. Have yourself a beautiful day. If you've completed your class evaluations, you're good to go, by the way, unless you have questions. So then, Trin, I would say wait, and then until you're off, and then you can see everything there. Okay. And that way you can still get it done.
If I log off, I can log into the portal, but I don't know how to pull up the portal. But it's sort of not good because
Like one.
I couldn't see the questions in the breakout
So Trin,
room.
what I'm saying is wait until. So for you, it may seem like you need to download the files before class to have them accessible. If you're having trouble going between Zoom, and then just have them up, and then we can definitely show you how to do that as well.
Okay, are you gonna show me now or no?
Well, I got to wrap up class first, but give me a second. We can figure this out. Lupita, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, I'm actually having trouble logging into my portal.
Okay, so do me a favor. Can you either email or both Helen and I and a screenshot of what it shows you, so that way we can send it over to Georgie.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Or you can actually go ahead.
No, you go ahead with her.
No, I was gonna say, or you can email Georgie directly. Thank you, Andrew.
I'll put her in here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
I
go
did
ahead.
the evaluation, and it said save. I saved it, but it's still no check next to my.
Did you try to refresh your like the page, the student
Well,
portal?
I
you have?
logged in, like it had logged me out because the only time I had logged in was this morning for the thing. Let me go to home and then try it
Yeah.
again.
Try. Sometimes it takes a little bit, Mercedes. So, and then you just have to come back.
There
And
it
then
is. Yeah,
there
I
it
went
is.
home and came back. So
There you
Road
go.
to Recovery. Like I said, I started reading that, so I don't check that off until I'm done.
Until you're
Correct?
done. Yeah, please don't,
Okay.
because then it's just a self-defeating thing. But yeah, if you can get that done as soon as possible, especially because there's not a lot of pre-work for tomorrow, that'll be very,
Okay.
very helpful. Sounds good.
Got you.
Good.
Other than that, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Hey, I'm done. I'm done with the class evaluations and
Arturo?
Arturo
Okay,
Hernandez.
perfect. Then you're good to go, Arturo. Have yourself a beautiful day.
Okay, thank you. Likewise.
You got it.
Okay,
So
so
if we're
Trin,
done, sorry. If we're done, do we just check out in
If you
student portal?
yes, if you've completed everything, you can log out of here, and then you can also log out of your student portal as well.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
good to go. Yep.
and
do I
Trin, I'm
read-
gonna jump in. Your student supporter is Georgie, so she will reach out to you soon. So
Yes.
that's something you can work on with your student supporter.
Oh, okay, no problem. As long as it's okay with you that I log off, do the
Yeah, you're good to go, Trin.
evaluation.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
definitely.
You're good
that's
to go.
fine. I was gonna do it with the other lady, but okay, thank you. Have a
No
great day,
worries.
guys. Thank you. It was
You
wonderful.
as well. Have yourself a good day as well.
I have
do
another
I-
question. Oh.
All right. Who's next? Go ahead. No worries.
So I just email them. What if I still have trouble getting into the portal and all of that? Do I just contact you guys or?
Yeah, Lupita, email us, all three of us. If you are not able to access your student portal, Georgie is the first point of contact. And that's how I would
Okay.
just say, send a screenshot if it says error or not found or whatever. So that way
Okay.
she can look into it. And I will do that right now, actually, so she can
Okay,
know
yeah.
that.
Okay.
And
Okay,
then
thank
feel
you.
free to communicate with Helen and I as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you have a good one.
Thank you,
All
you
right.
too.
Sounds good. All right. I know there's a couple of you I'm going to meet with, but if not, let me stop this here.